there was loads of people there to audition, and I came out of the room, and it was like everyone was in the kind of, had a board up, between the cafeteria and of the hotel and the room. And I was singing Shallow or whatever. And I came out, and it was so noisy before I went in. I came out and everyone was just quiet, and they're like, "Did you just sing with Nathan Carter?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Is everyone not doing that? Is everyone not doing that?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." And then my friend was listening to the radio, and he was like, "Oh, the winner is going to be singing with me on the show." So I was going home going, "Oh my God. I don't want to get my hopes up here now, but is this going the way I want it?" But then there were so many other girls there as well. So.
Hello, folkers. I'm Copper Kelly.
And I'm Jodie Lucas, and you're welcome to the Folkin Around podcast.
Your favourite country music podcast. And Joe, tell the lovely listeners, who did we talk to this week?
So this week we were talking to the lovely Clodagh Lawlor. Great little episode, and learnt a lot about her.
Yeah, she had some great stories from the road and the time she went on the Late Late Show. And it was a good old interview now. And I think what we'll do is we'll head straight into it. Without further ado, we'll get to the interview and we'll talk to you after.
So we are joined this week by the gorgeous Clodagh Lawlor. Clodagh, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my God, guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Like, it's so great to be doing stuff again, as I said, with music and talking about music, which is a strange thing to be doing. But thanks so much for asking me.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. And Clodagh, anybody that's listening in on our audio or watching on our YouTube channel who may not have met you before, why don't you give everyone just a little brief description of who you are and what you're about?
Okay, so I am an Irish country singer that it was back in 2019. I won the search for the next rising country star in Ireland, and before COVID-19 obviously happened, life was going to be taken off in a way that I thought I'd be more familiar to people, but that's who I am so far, and hopefully I'll be more after COVID and get back on the road. Yeah. So that's kind of who people know me as, the girl that won the Irish Country Rising Star competition on the Late Late Show. Yeah.
Perfect.
So obviously we will talk about that in a bit, but I want to go way back and sort of like Clodagh as a child. What were you all about when you were younger? Did you always love the music? Is this what you always wanted?
Yeah, like music has always been, I kind of feel like I've done my apprenticeship for so long, before getting my break on the Late Late Show. It's been a long journey before people, I didn't just audition for the Late Late Show and just fall into it. Yeah. But I've been doing it since a very, very young age. And I was very lucky. My mom and dad put us into stage school. So I went to Limerick Spotlight Stage School in just 20 minutes from Clare, and kind of always trying to perfect myself. And I wasn't really out there as a child when it came to music. I was too shy and I was afraid what people thought of me, unfortunately. But those things happen for a reason. I obviously it wasn't meant to be back then. But I was forever trying to perfect myself as an artist and trying to get into the Irish country music scene. And I took little jobs with Hot Country TV and anything I could get to be involved with country music before the Late Late Show. And I was just very lucky. It fell around the time where I was getting into that. And that's kind of where the journey has gone. I'm lucky, so far.
And why did you go for country music and not anything else? Say pop music, right? Why was it country?
Yeah, country has always been the kind of the genre that I have favoured. I loved Carrie Underwood as a child. So when I was probably, I think I must have been 8 or 9. I said this in the Late Late Show. I got my first CD, back then, you wanted a CD before Spotify or iTunes. Yeah. So I got my friends in America to send me her CD after she won an American Idol, because I was watching it on YouTube and keeping up with her. And from there, I kind of just fell in love with her and the sound of it. And it kind of, I suppose, Dolly Parton, Patty, Faith Hill, the Dixie Chicks, they were all the women that I was listening to. And then Carrie Underwood was my kind of the girl I was really shaping my interests, I suppose, with. And just fell in love with it. I've loved it. Now, I don't rule out any of the genre, but country music to me just has always been so unique in itself. And just, I think the stories, as everyone says, the stories, and just you learn so much from a song from one person, which is so incredible, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, were you from quite a musical family? Like, did you go to those Irish dances and things like that?
Yeah, I kind of did it upon myself. Like my parents, obviously, years ago would always tell me, like my mom would like, we went to the ranch house in Galway, and you know, like all this, and she was younger with her brothers and her cousins, and it would be a very big thing. The dancing scene up in Galway, where my mom's from, years ago, was kind of like the nightclub version of what we'd go to, you know. Yeah. And then I was very lucky as well. My group of friends are all into country music, so we started going to like the Cowboys and Heroes weekends and Farmers Bashes, and going to the local West County for dances. And then funnily enough, then like a year or two later, you know, we're there with me. It's just, it's funny how the circle went around, and it was cool to watch. But I'm lucky that my friends are into it, because I made it easier for me to kind of go to stuff at the weekend, because I'd rather go to a dance or I'd go to a concert than a nightclub if I could, you know. But sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out like that. But I'm just lucky I have friends that like it. So it just makes it a lot easier then to be like, hey, do you want to go to a dance this weekend? Instead of being like, no, Claude, we're not going to a dance. Like, we're going to the nightclub. Like, but.
And what do those friends think of you now singing those songs and stuff?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm very lucky. Between my family and my friends, like they're so supportive, and they've been to every gig that I've been at. They were going to every gig we were going to have, you know, if the world was working, that it, you know, with the gigs and everything. But they're very supportive. I'm very, very lucky, I have to say. They're brilliant. They're the backbone, I suppose, to me in a way, that they drive me on, which is nice.
Oh, good. Yeah. And then obviously before you got that, what we would say, your big break, you were on another TV show before, weren't you? So you did The Voice was it Ireland Voice?
Yeah, I did the Irish Voice, yeah.
And how did you find that?
I suppose I was 18 years of age, looking to try and get out there and try and get onto the music scene in Ireland. And again, country is what I wanted to do. But you have to realize when you're doing these TV shows, it's a TV show. Like, it's not a music show. It might be a music show, and you have to respect the broadcasters, because they want people to watch it. It's an entertainment sector. You know, it's sometimes not about the music, unfortunately. And if I knew that now, like if I was to audition for a show in the morning, I'd know that, and I'd be like, oh, I'll go in here now and I'll play the role of whatever. Yeah. But when you're 18 and you're vulnerable and you want to you want to be a singer, them shows don't do that. They don't. No. And I don't care what anyone tells me, they don't. Yeah. I think you need to, now maybe America's kind of different in the sense that it just has a bigger audience, I think. That I don't know, you have more of a scope maybe, but God, I think if there's any young singer out there in Ireland or England, please don't go for those shows, because I just don't really condone them from a music and artist side of things. It's there's a period of time that you'll get from them, and it can build your hopes up, and then they can just be like, hey, we don't want you anymore, and just throw you off. And then you're like, oh my God, am I a good singer? Will I ever be a singer? And it's like, back then it knocked me for about 2 years, I'd say, as just myself kind of wondering, God, will I ever get onto this music scene? And then I was like, Lord Almighty, a 25-year-old researcher is telling me I can't sing. What am I actually? I don't be listening to them, like, you know? So I just kind of picked myself up from it then. But it's definitely, it wasn't something that I look back on and say, God, I wish I never did it. Obviously, you know, everything happens for a reason. I always say that, but I'd never in the morning go for something again like that. I don't think.
But you learned a lot from it, though.
Yeah, I learned a lot from it in the sense that, you know, you can be a singer, but you need to have the business head in you as well. You need to know all these aspects. And, you know, I went to college in LIT and I studied music technology and production. And in my final year, the module was like music business. And that taught me so much, as well as knowing bits about it. But you have to have the business head in you going into this world, unfortunately, because it is a business. It's a business. It's a multi, you know, $1 million or euro industry that you have to understand that it's not just about singing or getting on stage. There's so many different more aspects to it. So I definitely think
were they telling you what song to sing and all this kind of crap, and how to look?
Yeah,
even if you didn't like the song.
Yeah, I think I auditioned with a country song, would you believe? And I had to sing How Deep Is Your Love in the end. I was like, what's going on? But even like, you know, I got to the battle stages and like I was singing Radioactive. I was like, Mother of God, like Radioactive. This isn't me, but I have to go with it. And A lot of stuff. But look, you know what? Like, it's an experience, I suppose, that has helped me looking back now as an artist, kind of, you know, wondering what goes on in that industry with TV and all that. So I know now. I know how to play the game now. I'm learning every time, you know. It's not just getting up there and singing. There's a lot more to it. But you learn this as you're doing more and more, you know.
That definitely helps you with the Late Late Show country competition then, I bet you.
Funnily enough, that competition, I was at my friend's house in Galway and I was just watching it on telly with Mike Denver and Ryan Tubridy, and they were looking for the next person, like audition here and there. And I was like, sure, look, I've nothing to lose. You can't win if you're not in at these things. So I just sent in the application, and it was more of a telling the person RT who you are, which was nice, you know, telling your interest in that. And said all that, and then he sent on a video. And at the time I had done My Church. That was my first kind of like song that I put out. And then I didn't hear anything. I was gone to America with an Irish trad band that I toured with called the Young Irelanders. And I'd gone for like a month and a half, and I came back and I was like, God, I haven't heard from RT. Like, you know, this is, I definitely didn't get it. Like, and I'd seen so many people then, like, you know, Derek and Nathan doing like putting up stuff about the Irish country music show that's coming on. And I was like, oh God, definitely, it's not me. And then out of nowhere, I got a call, can you come to Mullingar at the time for an audition? And I went up, and I didn't know that Margot and Nathan and Jonathan Owens were going to be the judges. I just particularly in my head was thinking, okay, this is going to be just a room full of producers, you know, like that's what
Was it your birthday? Did I read somewhere it was your birthday when you went?
Yeah, so it was funny enough, it aired on the day of my birthday, my 24th birthday. I'm like thinking it's like a lifetime ago really with COVID. But my 24th birthday it aired on, which was pretty cool. Like, I didn't think that would ever happen to me. But the whole experience, I have to say, was amazing. And I didn't know on the day that Nathan's going to be there. And then I was told to prepare Shallow, and I was like, why am I preparing Shallow? But then when I got there was all these women outside. I was like, why are all these women out here? And David James was there at the time, and David was like, oh, Nathan Carter's here. And I was like, what do you mean Nathan Carter's here? And he's like, oh, he's one of the judges. And I was like, judges, what? And then Margot came in, and I was like, what is this? And I started to shake. And then I was like, oh no, like, what am I getting myself into? Like, I'm not ready for this. And then there was loads of people there to audition, and I came out of the room, and it was like everyone was in the kind of, had a board up, you know, between the cafeteria and of the hotel and the room. And I was singing Shallow or whatever. And I came out, and it was so noisy before I went in. I came out and everyone was just quiet, and they're like, did you just sing with Nathan Carter? And I was like, yeah. I said, is everyone not doing that? Is everyone not doing that? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay. And then my friend was listening to the radio, and he was like, oh, the winner is going to be singing with me on the show. So I was going home going, oh my God. I don't want to get my hopes up here now, but is this going the way I want it? But then there were so many other girls there as well. So I knew the winner was going to be a girl if the Shallow song was going to be picked. And there was loads of girls there at the time. I had, that's the only thing that I had going home. I was like, okay, it has to be a girl. From the psychology sense of TV, it has to be a girl. A Star is Born, Mother of God, put two and two together, you know, from a TV perspective. But I didn't want to get my hopes up then, and I waited like 2 weeks, and I got a call. I was in Limerick, and my friend was with me, and I just started screaming on the road. I was like, you're joking. And they're like, and it was just, I only had like, I think a week, and that was it, you know, a week and sing with Nathan once. And we're on the, like, the biggest TV show in Ireland. It was like crazy. But
I love that. I can just imagine how excited you must have been, because I know we've had a phone call about something over here which we can't mention at the moment, but I know how excited you were just with that little phone call. I imagine like, for that you are wild.
Yeah, it was like as if I got 600 points in my leaving cert, you know, that kind of way. And I was after getting my dream course. I was like, thank you, God. After all the years, I've had so many no's, I've had so many knocks and everything. I was like, finally. Now, the song I wouldn't obviously have loved at the time. Like, I would have preferred a country song, like, because I'm a country singer. But I just had to go with it. And it has worked out in my favour in the end. But
Funnily enough, I applied for that competition as well. I just sent the video in, but didn't hear it back. So I'm not bitter at all now. But that could have been me up there singing Shallow with Nathan Carter.
Yeah,
you know, I could have done that high
note,
that Lady Gaga note. You know, that could have been me.
I'd have loved you to have made it a bit more rocky. Actually, you'd have gone for.
Yeah, it would have been more yourself and Nathan. Nathan would know what to do. Like, what's going on? Like, obviously, I've grown even so much since that performance. You know, and I think the whole experience of getting to get on stage with, you know, Nathan a few times, and I don't care what anyone says, the man is incredible, you know, and you learn so much for just being around his team more so, you know, like his band and his mentors and his manager. And I think from everything that I've done, I've definitely grown so much. And I don't mean that in a cocky way, but like from the sense that like with everything you do, you grow a bit more with everything, you know. And I think that's why I would just love my shot again now in the Late Late Show. You know, I'd love to be like, just put me on now and see how much I have grown as a person.
Yeah. Tell me this, like, what's it like backstage at Late Late Show? Did they just throw you into a room with a few bags of potato and little small bottles of orange, or is it, you know, you pampered?
You know what? It's such a cool experience up there. It's a great. I think everyone when they get there, especially the country special, like as you know, Irish country music and the family that we all have here is so incredible. It's just such a lovely niche. You know, everyone wants to help everyone. Everyone's there to help anyone if they want any advice or anything like that, which I love. And I was only talking to Martin O'Neill, who's in his band, and I was saying, we're so lucky with the group of people we have in this industry. Like it is just, it's fabulous. And I feel so honoured to be amongst it as well and to be one of the names, you know, and I'll never ever like take that for granted. But it's so nice because I suppose when everyone's on the road for the weekends, and it's only when you get like award shows and you have little festivals that you can actually meet up with people, because there's no other way that you're going to see everyone, because everyone does their gigs at the weekend, you know, when everyone does their festivals and that. And you're literally, sometimes at festivals, you're just there for like doing your set and you're going because you have a show that night. You know, I've seen all of them just coming and going. But being at the Late Late Show, it's nice, and it's getting to meet them. And obviously I was only this girl that was like, I felt like I was in heaven. I was like, oh my God, I've looked up to Daniel O'Donnell and Marigo, everyone, you know. And I was like in the room, and my mom was even like, I can't believe I'm here. Like I listened to all these people when I was younger, and now you're here. Like, and I was like, it's so weird that way for my parents, I think, to see that, you know. And I'm doing a few stuff later on in the year with people that she would have gone to dances to, and she just never thought that, not that she never believed, but she never in her wildest dreams probably thought that her daughter was going to be doing the same shows as some of these people a couple of years later. But yeah, it's so cool. And I think that the Late Late Show at Christmas time there was a bit weird because we couldn't go into the other room. So, you know, we were put into rooms and we couldn't leave the rooms, not like only for going to the bathroom or something like that, because of COVID and restrictions and everything. So that was a bit strange. And obviously everyone would have loved to talk to each other back then. But I didn't even see half the people on the show because we had certain slots. It was like you're booked in for little hours. But it's lovely. It's really nice. And it's nice that RT, you know, acknowledge country music as well and are putting shows out too. So hopefully I get back and I get to do something of my own soon.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
and obviously, you know, with COVID, obviously things have massively slowed down. I mean, what was the plan for the last year, and how will you be starting off? Now things are open, fingers crossed, hopefully opening back up. What's the plan?
Yeah, the plan is, like in Ireland, it's different. I don't see any shows really going in Ireland till the end of the year, I think. Like Christmas kind of time. I don't think anyone promoter is going to bother even putting something on in case something happens until later on in the year. But I know England is opening up, and God, I'd love to think that if I went to England that I'd have a base, you know. But like the goal was all the festivals, build my audience as much as I could, and then just go from there. And like, you know, I had the album that I was going doing a show for as well, but not releasing that now until life goes back to normal, because I put too much work into that to be just putting it into the clouds. So I'm waiting, holding back for that, and just seeing what happens. I don't even know. Like, I really don't know what's going to happen. Like, really, I'm taking it.
You're going to Scotland, aren't you?
I'm going to Scotland next year. Yeah, that's thank God. I thank God I'm going to Scotland. It's like a new audience again. You know, it's so nice. And Hugh O'Brien is so good to me for even asking me to do that. So I'm looking forward to that already. And there's a show during the summer that's going to be, that I can't say yet about, but it's going to be really, really cool as well. And it's something that I'm very fortunate that I got asked to do as well. And just from a perspective of music, it's going to be nice. And when you get to see what it is, I think you'll be like, oh yes. So it's nice that little stuff are still going on without audiences, obviously, but that promoters and venues are still doing stuff with high quality, which is cool to see.
And you mentioned earlier as well that you toured, I think, in America and Canada with the young Irelanders.
Irelanders, yeah.
Yes. Do you have any mad tour stories from the road or anything like that?
Oh my God, do I? We were in, where were we? We landed in Seattle, and we were staying in a place called, oh God, what was it again? Oh, how don't I remember this place, because when I tell you the story, it was the worst nightmare. It was the worst experience I've ever had on the road. But we stayed in a place in Washington, and we did a gig, and we were in a hotel for 2 days. Then we were leaving, and we had this lovely bus driver that had one job, no, actually 2 jobs: drive the bus and make sure that, the little trailer at the back was closed, that nothing could fall out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the road, and I'm like, we have 12 hours to get to South Dakota. Like, we're going, our next gig is in South Dakota or something like that, or Ohio. And I was okay, I'll put on my little headphones here, and I'll try and zoom off and just try and sleep for at least 2 hours and break up a 12-hour journey. All of a sudden, this car is like coming up the side of us and like, hey guys, you like lost a suitcase down the road. And I was like, what? And I literally just woke up. I was like, well, if anyone's suitcase is after coming out the back of that trailer, it's mine. So we pulled in, and your mom's like, yeah, you lost like a suitcase down the road or whatever. And now the snow in Seattle in March is, Jeannie, I'm talking like probably up to the door of the truck that we're in. And I was like, oh my God. And I just said to your mom, it never dawned on you when you were chasing us up the road to actually pick the suitcase up and come with us. Do you know, Americans at time, I was like, jeepers. So I looked in the back, and it looked like it was my suitcase. And I said, well, that's just great. So then we went back the road, couldn't find the suitcase, nothing. I had lost, that was everything that I had for the next month on tour. And we had gone, I don't know where we'd gone, like 2 or 3, like it was nearly 3 or 4 days, and no suitcase, no nothing. I had to report it to a sheriff, to a police station. Like, there's so many little things you have to report over in America. I was ringing my mom, I was crying. I was like, I've no clothes, I've nothing. I said, what am I going to do? The tour company were like, well, look, we'll give you money for stuff. And I was like, it's not the point. Like, what you give me is never going to amount to what I have in that suitcase. And then we were like, I think we were, I don't know where we were, near Chicago. I got a phone call saying, hey, someone's after dropping your suitcase in. I was on, like, I can't think of the flipping place. I can't believe I can't remember the place, because I'll never forget the experience. It was like a week and a half later, someone found my suitcase and put it into a sheriff's place over wherever the venue was. And then eventually got it sent to me. But it was the worst experience of my life. I was like, how did this even happen to me? And then the bus driver, his name was Brian, he was like, hey, Clodagh, I'm like, really, really sorry. I wasn't thinking. I was like, Brian, I'm not a rude person, I said, but let's just never talk about this, because like, I don't know how my feelings are going to come across to you right now. I said, my whole life is in this suitcase. So I was just lucky it was my other suitcase with my laptop, my iPad, everything. Then my in-ears that I just bought were in it, and I was like, they're not going to fit anyone else. Like, I have no in-ears for stage, for nothing. But it was, yeah. And then they were like, you'd have to pay for it to get you. And I said, I'm not paying for my suitcase to get you. I said, this is not my fault. I said, it's my suitcase to me. But that was the most upsetting thing that ever happened to me on tour. But mad things on tour, I think, are just having the crack, like, once you finish, but
did you meet any,
it's amazing in America.
Meet any big names when you're out on the road there?
No, we did, not that I know of anyway. No, didn't meet anyone big. It's such a nice experience going on those tours, because it's an Irish trad tour, and I'm the singer on it, and so many people like come to see it, and especially in venues in America. Like, we played one place in West Palm Beach, and like, it was 2 shows we had, and 3,000 people came out to see it. Like, once they know you're Irish, it's like they just swarm in, anytime Americans or Canadians, we've been to Canada as well. It's amazing. Like, it's so cool when you say you're from Ireland, because it's so unique without you even knowing it until you're on the road, or you're in somewhere like America. But yeah, they just love it over there. Love Irish trad. And I love it too, folk songs and everything. It's nice to get that break away and get to do that too, with coming back to Ireland then and doing it. The best of both worlds, but before all this happened.
Oh, of course.
I did.
So it'll be a while before you'll be back over in America probably as well.
Yeah. I think I was supposed to go, should have gone in March, and then we had a big tour, like 50 days or something. So I would have been into May.
Wow.
But I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't even know, you'd wonder from insurance perspectives and everything like that, would people even bother for what? Because America's different to what's going on over here,
Yeah. It's different.
But they are much more open up over there, aren't they? They're doing you see the big gigs happening still over there. It's just the travelling, isn't it?
It's the travelling, yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're letting anyone in yet from the Europe without going through Turkey or somewhere. But I couldn't be bothered doing that. So
we'll have to just get you over here. That's what we need.
Yes. Anything now, anything Irish country, get me to Scotland, England, wherever.
Yeah,
wherever it happens.
Plans in place. Plans in place, listeners. We'll get her over. Don't worry. There's
Fingers
definitely
crossed.
plans behind the scenes. So we have got a couple of fan questions that I just wanted to put to you. They're not scary, don't worry. The first one is from Barry. Is it Kania? I always get his surname wrong, but I'm sure you know Barry. He first of all wanted to say hello. He misses you. And he says, when are you planning on coming to Galway? I know we probably can't answer that one.
Whenever anything opens, I am straight to doing a show, definitely. It's kind of good in a way. I think COVID is, for me as a new artist, I'm sitting down like trying to think of new things to do, because I don't think dances are going to come back fully until next year. That's what I definitely don't see coming back. But in relation to a show, if I can just get a venue, then I have a lovely show coming together. So hopefully very soon, Barry, that we get to Galway.
Maybe Barry will have to have like a party and he can just book you.
That's it.
That might work. And another question that we had was actually from the lovely singer Stacey Breen sent a message in. One to say she's a massive fan of yours.
Oh my God.
And she wanted to know, what is your proudest achievement so far?
Oh God, proudest achievement so far. Do you know what? And this is just from a personal probably achievement, just going after what I want, I think, from the sense that, you know, you can be so scared of the other people on the scene doing stuff. And like, you know, I always say there's room for anyone to be anything if you want to be that. And I think that my achievement for me, I suppose from a self kind of person achievement, it'll be just going after it and doing what I want to do and just putting out the songs that I've wanted to do and just going after it. Yeah, going after my dream. I think that'd be my proudest achievement, because you can be so scared by the what ifs, or, you know, I don't have enough to do this or whatever. But
that's it, exactly.
There's
most people are just kind
of
they have an idea of maybe, I'd love to do that someday, but then they just don't take the steps to actually make it happen. So you have to just,
this is it, you know, and there's room for everyone. Yeah. And everyone, definitely. If someone wants to go see or listen to it, they will, you know, not based on anyone else. So if there's anyone out there that wants to be a singer, just go after it. And you can always say then, if, you know, I tried, you know, there's no point sitting there going, God, I wish I want to be a singer. I want to be a nurse. I'm like, well, if you want to be one of them things, sitting down saying it isn't going to, you know, it's not going to happen until you go after it. So
no one's going to knock on the door and say, hey, do you want to be a singer? So you have to go out and do
no one's going to come knocking on your door to be like, hey, do you want to do this show? You have to go knocking on them doors. And, you know, you have to get yourself an agent of some sense and, you know, stuff like that. I think that's the road I'm going down now. And it's working so far. Good. So, you know, it's.
And then we have got another question, which kind of ties into a little bit of what we're talking about in a way. It's from Amy Dowd up in Donegal, and she is asking, firstly, she wants to get into music. And she said, have you found it difficult being a female to break into the country music scene?
So I'm such an ambassador for female singers on the scene. And, you know, I think growing up, seeing the likes of, you know, definitely when COVID happened, like I rediscovered who I found as a child, like, you know, as I just said at the start of the interview, Tammy Wynette, Dixie Chicks and all them. And it is hard, and it still is hard, you know, even if you look at the analytics of the American radio stations and what they play, like it is very male dominated. And I think I don't think it's hard. It's definitely, it's probably a bit harder in a sense than males. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I just think sometimes females just have that bit kind of trying to get on the radio a bit more, trying to get on festivals sometimes can be hard. But
I think it's hard as well because a lot of the audience, in particularly Irish country, are female. And therefore they tend to want to go and see that, you know, they want to look at Nathan Carter because he's so beautiful. And do you know what I mean? That's what they want to see. There's that part of it as well.
It's hard to describe it. It's like they play so many females in Ireland. I just think sometimes women trying to kickstart yourself is it's kind of difficult in a way. But then again, if you're a male starting the scene, it's hard too. But just females sometimes just have to keep pushing a bit harder. I don't know what way to put it in perspective.
But I do think there's more females seem to be building a bit of a, you know, I was going to say cult then, that's totally the wrong word. But you know what I mean? There seems to be a really good group of females that are coming out now wanting to do more. And I think that that's, you know, only good things are going to come from that.
Yeah. I just think I love seeing women come together, and I love seeing women collaborating together. I love, I'm so about that, because I love seeing anyone come together collaborating, really, because we've such a small unit. I think why not? Like, why not everyone collaborate together? And again, like, you know, like the high women in America, it's so cool to see them come together, like Brandi Carlile and, you know, Maren Morris. Even Maren Morris says it like this sometimes. She's one of the biggest artists in Nashville, and she doesn't get played as much as people that are not as big as her, that kind of way. So I think it's just a thing that happens sometimes. As you said, maybe the female chasing the male sometimes is a bit more than the male chasing the woman. But again, you could be talking in terms of different stuff there too then, like, but I think again, I always go down to someone wants to listen to you, and just keep putting out good material. And material is the thing, I think. Good material and good visuals will always every 6-7 weeks put out something. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've probably kind of answered the second half of Amy's question, in that she was asking, how would you advise her to get started in the music industry? So it's kind of that. It's just get talking to people, isn't it? It's building connections.
Oh, it's networking. It's 100% networking, from no matter like what you put out. Like, it's talking to people, and that person will like lead you on to someone else. I definitely think, you know, all like music, like the production side of things is so important. And I think that's if you're going to invest in yourself. And I always say, like, it's a business at the end of the day. And like, if you're putting out a song, it's like you're opening a clothes shop. You're not going to have bad stock because you're not going to sell it. So I always describe that as, if you want to put out good music and be played on the radio and listened to, get into the studio and do it right. It might cost a lot, but you'll see the results from it. 100%. Yeah.
And talking of good music, there's a new song out at the moment.
Yeah, Jolene. Oh my God.
That was quite smooth for me, wasn't it? Jolene, an amazing song anyway. And your version is just incredible. How did that come together? How did you pick the song? What was that journey?
Yeah, you see, I've always said to Pete, I work with Peter Maher in Nina in Middlewalk Studios, and I have since I was 16. So like, it'll probably Amy now, like, since I wanted to sing, I've gone down to Peter, and like back then I was like busking on the street, and I was like, oh, I'll just sing like, you know, Bleeding Love and all these songs, and like never thought that I'd be able to do country music the way I wanted to do it, in a sense of like hitting the American kind of scene, but obviously hitting the Irish scene as well. But I said when I was doing my album that the song's going to be picked right and all that, and even though I put out it's a cover, but I always wanted to have it different. And at the time when I was doing the album, we had festivals beyond festivals happening. It was probably 2020 that I thought the album was going to be out for. And I was like, there's 2 songs on it. There's another song that is kind of the same vibe, that kind of disco Bee Gees kind of sound that was so cool at a festival. Yeah. But Jolene, I just wanted it to be different, but still hitting the truth of the song as well. So Peter, we were there one day, I did a bit of synths, and then it was like, oh my God, this could be like a really like disco Bee Gees 70s vibe if we
like
go
a
for it.
Funk guitar going through it as well.
Yeah, like I'll tell you, like working with Peter, it's just like, if you said do an album in Tennessee or do it in Tipperary, I'd pick Tipperary. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like he's just so incredible, and he like, obviously, you know, sometimes you go into the studio and they're like, yeah, whatever you want, we'll do. Peter's like, if that's crap, he's going to tell you it's crap, and you wouldn't want to be like sensitive, but I love that. Like, I'd prefer him to be like that with me than to be kind of saying, oh, you sound beautiful, you know, and then you hear it, then it's like, I sound so bad, like. But it's so cool. And like, you know, a few of the lads that are playing on it, you know, there's like 1 or 2 in Nathan's band that play on it, and like another in Johnny's and stuff, and they're like, it's such a vibey song, it's so different. And we thought we're just going in playing Jolene, like the normal Jolene, like, you know, and then they heard it and they're like, this is so cool, it's so different, which I'm just so happy that it's done well. And then like, I've seen this SoundCloud for me with this song has just taken off so much more. I think people listen to music on SoundCloud more now than Spotify, because SoundCloud is, I think it's free. I think it's free. So like, it's like near 15,000 streams on it. And then, you know, it's like the Spotify isn't as big, but it's just cool to see sometimes the streaming services, how it works. But it's just done so well for me. And I think it's different. And I thought that's why it's working more. So it's not.
Was it quite scary to do it? was it scary to do it different? Was there there's obviously a risk with that?
Yeah, I was like, God, will I get radio play with this? Like, you know, I was like, will people like, it's still, it's a country song, but it's a different vibe. But at the same time, it's a bluegrass kind of vibe to it, which is cool. Like you've got the dobro in there, you've got the steel guitar and everything. So that's why I think it's getting, you know, the kind of recognition that it is, that it's so country. And anyone that's into music will know that, God, like listen to the instrumental parts of it, like, oh, that's so cool, you know. And I'm just happy it's working so far. So I just need to get it to Dolly Parton as I'm trying, you know. I need to get it to her and see if we can just get it out there to that audience. And see what happens.
We've been talking to a lot of people on this podcast, and a lot of them are actually influenced by the American country. Like myself, I'm all about Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and all that kind of stuff. But from what I could tell, I don't know if American country is as popular in Ireland. They're more like the audience like the more Irish, pure Irish country. What do you think about that?
I think anyone wants anything to dance to, isn't it? Yeah, but it's funny because I always wonder that, and then like country to country comes to Ireland and it's sold out. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't even get a ticket first. So I'm like, there's an audience here, and like you've the Olympia Theatre, they do loads of gigs, and the Vicar Street, they do loads of country people, and they always sell out. And then up in Belfast, and what's the venue in Belfast? That's the small little venue that does all the country. Empire, that's it. That does all the country gigs, and they come over as well, and they all sell out. So there's definitely downtown country, I suppose, in Belfast kind of plays all that, which is good. They play all the American stuff as well as the Irish stuff, and collaborate it all together, which is cool. And I definitely think there's a niche for everyone, but I just think in the Irish community, Irish country music scene, you need it to be in it. You have to have the kind of Irish vibe to it too as well. Do you know?
Yeah. It's those dances, isn't it, where it's like you have to have the Irish jive and the two-step and the waltz, and that's where more the Irish tradition comes in.
Yeah, and that's where all that, you know, falls into. Like, I ultimately, as an artist, would love to be someone that has a show. Like, I'd love to have a country, like a show person. Obviously, I love dances too, and I love doing them. I've always had the goal that I would love a production, a show and all that. Probably like, you know, when Derek and Mike and Nate and all them go on the road and they do that. That's my goal. So hopefully, more so than dances.
You'll get there.
Such, but
one day.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
So at this point is where I cross over to something we call Copper's Corner. I don't know if you've watched the podcast before, but this is where he gets his pipe out and he feels like he's going to read us a story or something. So I'm going to hand over to Copper and he's going to quiz you in Copper's Corner.
So, welcome to Copper's Corner.
Okay.
Just a few random questions I'm going to throw at you. I usually ask what's your first CD, but you've already answered that. That was Carrie Underwood. What was the first big gig that you went to? Like you bought the ticket to go, like, you know, to Tree Arena or see someone massive. What was the first gig that you've gone to?
Oh God, my first gig, like as a child, was Boyzone. I was 1999 tour. I'll never forget it. I was obsessed with Boyzone. That was my first gig, but my first actual getting a ticket and my first amazing concert would have to be the Eagles. And we saw the Eagles there in July. Wow. They were incredible. Yeah, incredible.
Wow.
Very cool.
July
and
2019.
Very different to Boyzone.
Yeah. I mean, country to country, I love all them gigs, love everything about them. But I think from a music perspective, the first gig that I actually sat there and just was like, this is incredible, was the Eagles.
Wow.
Yeah.
I put on when I was a kid. I had one of the Boyzone albums on cassette. It was like the red cover. I can't remember the name of it now. It had songs like Melting Pot and all these kind of songs. I actually listened to it there a few weeks ago, and it held up. Actually, really good.
Yeah, I loved them boys. Yeah. Then there was Westlife.
Yeah.
It was more Westlife than
Key change when this.
So obviously, wasn't Westlife when it wasn't Cian out of Westlife your mentor on The Voice?
He was. That's why.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh God, that's Voice of Ireland. Mother of God, just gives me the chills when I hear it. But anyway,
next question, Copper.
So if you had a dinner that you had to invite 3 guests to, alive or dead, at any point through history, who would you invite and why?
Oh God. So I was only actually, this is so weird. I was talking to my friends the other day if I could bring people back from the dead, God forbid, to things like that. Definitely Elvis Presley. I think Dolly Parton and Mary Morris.
Ah, very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming to that party.
Dolly Parton was like our top two almost of everyone's. I've asked this question to.
I think everyone has said Dolly.
Yeah, I think she's
everyone said Dolly.
A business queen that like it's not just her music. She has a theme park. She has she's everything. Like she has her own TV show. She has like I just love what the woman has created for herself.
Yeah, she helped fund the vaccine there as well. I think Moderna, and all. She has books for kids and things like that.
Like it's not just the music that I'd look at her for. It's nearly everything. Yeah, it's the business queen, you know.
Yeah, just how she handles herself, she's absolute icon. And if you were marooned on a desert island and you had 3 CDs that you could listen to, that you could listen to again and again, what 3 CDs would they be?
Okay. No. I think Rascal Flatts, the What Hurts the Most album. Absolutely love that.
Nice.
Yeah. Who else do I just adore? I love Carly Pearce. She's another artist that's on the scene. Like I listen to her album every day. Something about her. She's very raw, but her songwriting and stuff. And probably who would be my last one? Maybe if I was to keep it to like if I wanted a bit of my Irish in me, the Woman's Heart album. I have the record as well upstairs, which is a pretty cool CD as well, with Dolores and Mary Black and Sharon and everyone.
No Boyzone in there.
No. Keep it all my
CD4.
And tell me this is a question I love asking now. We'll see if you have one, but do you have any ghost stories for us?
Ghost
stories,
yeah.
No, thank God.
No,
never. No.
Anyone in your family ever tell you a ghost story like that?
No. And I hope I never hear anyone either.
You should watch back some of our episodes. Some of the answers that we've had to that, I've not been able to sleep that night.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, oh my God.
No, never had anything.
That was possessed. So
Gary Gamble lived in a haunted house and he used to get woken up at 1 minute to 3 every morning, and then he thought it would be really funny to ring me at 1 minute to 3 that morning.
Oh God, stop. He's so funny. He's a great guy.
It terrifies me.
No ghost stories, thank God.
Ghost stories. Okay, we'll keep it that way. So that's all right. But do you have any more questions before we wrap up, Jo?
Yes, so obviously we've got the new single out at the moment, Jolene. Where can people catch that, and where can people find you on social media?
So everything is Clodagh Lawlor Music: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. So you'll find me on all those outlets. And then on YouTube, the video is out now, Jolene, and Jolene is on all streaming services. So you can check it out on any of them.
Brilliant. Well, you've been an amazing guest and I've definitely learned so much about you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Best of luck with Jolene, and hopefully I will meet up with you over here very, very soon.
Yes.
I am going to drag you over if need be.
Please do. I'll be ready to get. I live near Shannon Airport, so I'll be over there within 2 hours.
There we go. Lovely. Well, thank you so much.
No problem, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
So that was our interview with Clodagh Lawlor. It's good crack. Now, hopefully we'll get her back on again in the future. We have a good chat with her. What did you think yourself?
Yeah, it was great fun. It's always good catching up with people, and particularly we haven't recorded for a couple of weeks doing interviews, so it's quite nice for us to feel like we're back doing things, and I know that the singers that we've been talking to are feeling the same, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly. So we're kind of catching up. But yeah, that was a good old interview. But I suppose we'll move on to our section that we regularly do, our tracks of the week. So each week we suggest to each other a song that we each listen to and give our feedback on the next week. And obviously, as a listener, you can listen along and give us your thoughts on our social media. You want to email us or whatever. Get involved. It's all about, we want to kind of foster a nice community here. So get involved if you want. But Jo, what song did you suggest for me to listen to?
So for you, because you kind of enjoyed last week's song, which was Famous Friends by Kane Brown and Chris Young, I decided to go for another Chris Young song, and the song was Tomorrow. And what did you think?
Now, I did prefer last week's one, the Forever Friends.
Really? See, I thought you'd really like this one.
It was okay. To be honest with you, it seemed a little cookie cutter, colour by numbers kind of country.
Okay. I really liked it. I think it's a lovely little song.
Yeah, honestly, it's like there's nothing wrong with it, of course. I think I like the guitar solo in the center. You know me, I like my guitars. So it sounds pretty cool, but it's kind of, it was a little meh. So,
it didn't grab you. But that's fine. That's how I feel most weeks with yours.
Exactly. So it's about time you got one where I didn't really care much for.
Exactly.
But look, Chris, he's a good singer. Nothing against the guy at all. And I did like that Forever, or Famous Friends.
Famous Friends,
yeah. It's just like, because as I said last week, I thought it was going to be a whole, I'm going to name drop all my actual famous friends and blah blah blah. But no, it was all about his hometown and people that he knew at home and all. That was a good twist on the song. But what did you think of the song yourself? The Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite songs, to be fair. I think it's really, really good. And it's,
I take everything back.
No. The Chris Young version is obviously like the original. I think he wrote it as the original one, but then I think it became really famous. There was a country singer who won American Idol, and that was like, the winner's song that they released.
Yeah.
And that was the winner's song. I can't remember the name of the guy that won it, but I remember him having a big white cowboy hat and he looked lovely, but it wasn't as good as the original, which most things aren't, are they?
I suppose. I suggested, I went back in time to the 60s, and I suggested Buck Owens and Tiger by the Tail. Of course, you're probably well familiar with it, as most people probably
but
are.
it was still quite nice to re-listen to it and put it back on and have a good listen. But it's a very well-known song. It's a nice, it's weird to say a feel-good song because there isn't really much to it. But do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a fun song, isn't it? And I couldn't say anything bad about it.
No. And I suppose it's when you look back, I like to look back at the history of country and that. And I suppose my major influences would be, say, Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings, that kind of outlaw sound. But Buck Owens was the kind of antithesis. I can't even say the word. The opposite, we'll say, of that. It was like that polished kind of Nashville. It wasn't Nashville, but I can't remember where he's from exactly. But it's more of a polished country sound compared to the outlaw country, which is more edgy. Didn't give a flip, whatever you thought.
No.
And all this kind of stuff. But I still love that sound. I kind of went into these 60s country playlists on Spotify. Started listening to a lot, and absolute gems of an era, I suppose you could say. But what would you suggest that me and the listeners listen to this week, Jo?
So my suggestion this week is a song which you are very familiar with yourself, Coffer, given that I think it was your last release. But it is a version of Weatherman, and it is by the wonderful Richie Remo.
Yeah, the Wellerman, not the Weatherman.
Wellerman, sorry. And if you watch the video, actually, it's a very good video. Just released this. I think it was released about 2 days ago when we're recording this, obviously. And it was recorded by Gary Gamble up in Belfast at the Titanic Museum.
Very good.
So it's a nice little video as well.
Yeah. I don't think I've heard Richie Remo's version of it now. So I did a kind of an unofficial release. I just kind of stuck it up there without saying anything. And it's actually done really well for me, but I'll talk about it next week.
We'll plug you next week.
Yeah, we've two very different versions.
From you?
Yeah, two very different versions. But we'll talk about that next week anyway. And I suggest, what did I suggest? Oh, yes. Shot of Glory. I usually go a lot of American suggestions and Canadian suggestions. But this week I'm going Irish. I go a good fella called Baz Kerwin, and we're going to say Shot of Glory. I think a song I like the sound of it. There's a lot about drinking and stuff, so it's a good crack.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good one as well. I'm going to try and get Barry on. So I'm in Scotland with Barry at the end of this month. Brilliant. So I haven't seen Barry since his days of being Derek Ryan's drummer. So it will be really good to catch up with him, and hopefully we can get him on the podcast as well.
Yeah, watch this space, as they say. But I suppose we're wrapping up this week's episode. If you want to tell the people, the lovely listeners, where they can find us, follow us, get in touch with us, where can they do that, Jo?
So we are on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, and we are at Folkin Around Podcast. We're on Twitter, which is Folkin Around Pod, and you can also email us any of your questions, suggestions, just anything you want to, really. And we are folkinaroundpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you have any ghost stories,
always about the ghost stories.
Always welcome. I always find them entertaining anyway. But yeah, and where can they find your own personal stuff?
So again, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. I am Welcome to Jodieland. I'm on Twitter @Welcome to Jodie. And yeah, I was going to give out my email address then. No, that's everything.
And I suppose you can find me on the old Copper Kelly Music. If you search that into your search engines of choice, you'll find me, no problem. CopperKelly.com as well as my website. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, I have music out there. And I'm actually working on my latest single at the moment. It's coming together. It's kind of in the final stretches of the mixing stage. And I'll get mastered and get it out and released and stuff hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. And I'm really excited to get this song out and share it with you. But yeah, I think, do you have any more to add to the podcast before we wrap up, Jo?
As always, just thank you. If you've got this far, really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for coming back.
You're a hardcore fan if you got this far. You're still listening to
Definitely.
And and I suppose if you are listening to this, you must like it, I guess, in some way. And if you do want to support the podcast, do make sure you share to your friends. Tell your friends about us. And if you want to support us anyway, so kind of financially help us keep it going, help us pay for the hosting and all this kind of stuff, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Folkin Around Podcast. And you can just, give us the price of a coffee or a pint or whatever. It's all very welcome. And of course, you don't have to either. It's all voluntary. It's cool. Listen away if you don't want to. It's all good. But yeah, I think that does it for this week, Jo. And as always, bye, folkers.
Bye.